Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is a requested video of how I can doctor up some Thanksgiving leftovers. So I realized when I was making this video that not everybody has the same things left over, probably, right? So what I tried to do is mashed potatoes, turkey, and gravy. Most everybody has that. I will show you how I'll reheat some green bean casserole, some Brussels sprouts, and some stuffing. But mostly this is a recipe about making potato pancakes. And then I cut up the gravy, I cut up the turkey, and I cook it down in the gravy. And I serve it over the potato pancakes. So I've just taken 3 cups of my mashed potatoes. Now my mashed potatoes were about 5 pounds of potatoes, with a stick and a half of butter and about a cup of milk. All in all, maybe 2 cups of milk. But they are whipped, and that's how Jimmy likes them, and that's how I make them for him. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking 3 cups of cold mashed potatoes, give or take, and I'm cracking 2 eggs. Okay, and I'm putting in a tablespoon of onion powder. Now, a trick that my dad always did when he reheated the potato pancakes was he would add some instant flake potatoes. I don't have any, so I'm just going to fry them a little extra long, and they will not really hold together like a hash brown or a latke necessarily, because they're not deep fried. They're just going to be pan fried. So what we do is we just add the egg as a binder, and then we add the onion powder just to give it a little bit of a different seasoning. Okay, and we're going to fry these in the big frying pan with butter and oil. We're using canola oil, about a 1-to-1 ratio. Now that is depending on the size of your pan, will be how much butter and oil you put in. But you want to make sure you have at least like a 1/4 of an inch of grease in the bottom of your pan so that you can fry these in. And then when you go to make the second batch, you want to go ahead and add more. And you'll see we'll do that there in a minute. Okay? So now I'm just taking my rubber spatula and I'm not whisking them together. I'm beating them together, folding in the egg and the onion powder. You can prepare a new meal out of your leftovers in very, very little time if you want to doctor them up and make something a little different. So I just wanted to make sure that the egg is completely incorporated and also the onion powder is blended throughout. Now, if you, we don't use black pepper here, but I would also probably season these with salt and pepper unless the potatoes were salty. I would just add a little bit of salt to this mixture. But, you know, we actually made them pretty salty yesterday because that's how they like them. So I didn't feel the need to add it today. So I'm sorry about the lighting, but this is just about done. You want to have no big lumps of white and no big lumps of yellow. So now you can see I've mixed the oil and the butter together, and I have the pan on high until I get the potato pancakes in there. I'm just using an ice cream scoop. This is a, I think this is a 1/2 cup scooper. This is a 4-ounce scoop, I'm pretty sure. Portion control, a portion scoop, sometimes they're called when they're not just ice cream scoops. And then I use the rubber spatula just to flatten them down a little bit. This is in 2 times speed, so I actually just let them sit for a few seconds before I flatten them down. So now that's going to go in the corner while they cook. And this is part of the thing about the potato pancakes. You got to let them cook. If you try to turn them over too soon, they can fall apart, and then you just have fried mashed potatoes. So you just got to walk away. And when you think they're going to burn, that's probably when you should turn them over. But in the meantime, I'm taking my white meat, and I made this dish tonight with all the leftover white meat. We're going to, in part 2, we're going to use the leftover dark meat. So stay tuned for that. And since I'm putting it in this dish, and none of us really like the skin, I'm taking off the skin and the bones, and I'm going to throw them in my soup bones. I've saved the carcass for turkey soup, and I'm going to throw the bones in there with that. Okay? And with a turkey, with turkey wings, just like with chicken wings, you can get some meat off the drumette and then some off of the double bone portion. Okay? And then you want to be careful of any cartilage. You don't want to leave any cartilage on there. I have some video clips that I'll insert from yesterday of when I was done with the meal and cleaning up. I went ahead and I channeled my sister Alicia, and I stripped the turkey carcass of whatever meat I could get off of it to put into these 2 bags and put the carcass in the freezer for soup. Okay? Yeah, hi Alicia. She is like the queen of getting all the meat off of the carcass. Okay, so now you can see up there in the corner, we're turning them. And they do look like perfectly colored. They do really look perfectly colored. My oven doesn't cook, my stovetop doesn't cook evenly, so I turn my pan a quarter of a turn while I go ahead and, how can she be in two places at once? I have an assistant today. So the thought process is, this is going to be the turkey in gravy. Then we're going to serve it over the potato pancakes. My mom was famous for all the things that she did, floating meat and sauce. So one of my mom's famous dishes was ground beef with gravy over egg noodles. And the other one was ground beef with stewed tomatoes over egg noodles. My sisters will appreciate that, I'm sure. But so this was just a way to channel it. But a lot of times with leftover, even if your turkey is completely moist when you cook it, it can be get dried out from being in the refrigerator. So this is just one way to take the turkey white meat, other than making sandwiches where you put lots of mayonnaise on it, and to reheat it with cut up in the gravy. Okay. So now we're just going to chop it. And you don't have to chop it too finely because people will have knives and forks at the table. But it depends on how you want to serve it. You know, part of the trick from my dad, he told us that the more you can cut it up into little pieces, the more it kind of can serve. Say you have big chunks, and when someone goes to serve themselves, they'll want to serve themselves what they think is 3 or 4 big chunks. But if you chop it up, the same spoon will get, like that 3 or 4 chunks will look like a lot more meat, if that makes sense. And it's just a way to help spread the protein, okay? And then it all just goes into a pot. You could do this in the microwave. I just like to do it in a pot. I like to be able to heat my gravy, add a little bit more either stock or water just to thin it out. And that's one of the trick about reheating leftovers. You know, things do dry out in the refrigerator. So I always try to add moisture back to it. So now we're going to make our second batch. And again, replenish the butter, replenish the oil. And now the same thing. Swirl it around. Scoop it out. Flatten them out. And now in the small picture up in the corner is just, I've put the gravy. There was about 2 cups of gravy in with the rest of the turkey. I'm going to put the 2 cups of gravy in there. And then if I would have had chicken stock or turkey stock, I would have added that. But again, this is a chance to do something different. What are some options? You can saute some onions first. Would be really delicious. I don't know what it is about onions and turkey. I kind of feel like they go really well together. You could add mushrooms to your gravy. Just things that you can be different than it was the day before. Okay? So now I'm putting the 2 cups of gravy in there. And yes, it's okay if your gravy is like gelatinous, because that's really what it, if you make up bone gravy or meat gravy, it will do that. Plus you put thickeners in it, which also doesn't really help either. So I'm going to take a rubber spatula and I'm going to scrape the gravy into the bowl. And then I'm going to add water from my tea kettle. That's what you're going to see coming out here in a minute. Me and my rubber spatulas, right guys? So some of the other things that I'm going to do for tomorrow, well not tomorrow, but you'll see them for the leftover turkey leftovers, I'm sorry. For the rest, part 2, coming up, part 2, we're going to make a turkey a la king, Peter Adams style, and we're going to do something with the sweet potatoes, so stay tuned for that. But I went ahead and I added just a little bit of water to the gravy. So my gravy yesterday, I ended up making some homemade gravy, but then I had a butterball turkey, and it came with its own gravy packet. So my father would always say, don't waste it. So I put it in with the gravy that I was making, homemade gravy, and when Jimmy tasted it, he said it tasted a little salty for his taste. So this is your opportunity to go ahead and fix it. The gravy yesterday was not objectionable to anybody, but since it was a little on the salty side, I went ahead and I just thinned this out with water because I knew it wasn't going to do any harm. Plus, some of the water is going to cook off anyway. All right, and you just want to make sure that you heat this thoroughly so it's going to come to a boil. And then we're going to serve it over these delicious looking potato pancakes. So the second batch was cooked on medium high. Like I said, you started the pan on high, and once you got them in there, after just about 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to lower it down. And sometimes your potato pancakes break, and that's okay. That's okay. Only if you're serving them to somebody who really cares, because they all taste delicious no matter what. um, and while the turkey cooks down and the sweet potatoes are, not sweet potatoes, I'm sorry, the potato pancakes are frying, I wanted to just give you a few different serving options. So the sweet potatoes, we're just going to serve with the turkey gravy over it. However, you can make these as a side dish to any dish. You can make these at any time with leftover mashed potatoes. They're really, really good served with applesauce or, believe it or not, jelly. When you go to a kosher deli, you can get latkes that are sometimes served either with grape jelly, applesauce, or the kids, they always give the kids ketchup. But all of those ways, they're actually very delicious. All right. But tonight we're just going to have them again with the leftover turkey. All right, so once I get the potato pancakes off, be careful when you pour off your grease. I always take an empty tin can. Trick from my dad. I'm sure you guys know all these tricks already. But I just scrape all of the leftover grease into an old soup can or vegetable can or whatever until they're cooled off. Maybe sometimes put them in the freezer until it's frozen, and then throw them out on garbage day. But you see, I took off the first one, and I realized that the second two that I went to go move just needed another few seconds. And this is the one that actually fell apart, which is really okay. And he's going to get all the leftovers. He's so lucky. That's Jim's plate. You can always tell Jim's got all the love because he gets all the scraps. So now I'm going to move on the little pan, and this is where we're going to heat up the green bean casserole. So the green bean casserole, not unlike the mashed potatoes, did get thicker and drier when they were in the refrigerator. I normally like to thin it out with milk because it's a milk-based sauce. You know, you make green bean casserole with cream and mushroom soup. So, but today I just added water, again, just to make my life easier, and it was here. But this will tend to stick. What am I saying? The cream sauce sort of like burns and creates like a crispy caramel. That's what I'm scraping there. But it actually ends up being really good. Now you can put this on medium and cover it. You can put this in the microwave, but this actually just, like I was saying, it actually adds like almost like a caramelized flavor to the mushroom sauce, which is really good. All right, and then I wash the pan out, put it back on the stove. I just rinse it out quickly, dry it quickly. And then these are the Brussels sprouts. So I've just steamed a bag of Brussels sprouts in butter. No, I steamed them and then put them in butter. So I scraped the butter out of the rest of the bowl. So this is the rest of the Brussels sprouts. And I'm just going to add a little seasoning to them. Today I'm just doing salt and pepper. Mom's not having any leftover Brussels sprouts. I checked first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them, some of them open, the big ones. I'm going to split them in half just so that they cook more, warm through more evenly. All right, so I'm just going to take my tongs and a little steak knife. Try not to cut my pan. I'm not going straight down to the bottom of the pan. As you can see, like when I cut the Brussels sprouts, none of them, they don't really detach all the way. They just open like they butterfly them. And I'm not doing it to all of them, just the ones that are really big. All right, and then we're just going to toast these up and brown. Now, the first time I ever had leftover Brussels sprouts like this, as opposed to just putting in the microwave, my brother Rob took some leftover bacon from breakfast and leftover Brussels sprouts. And he did something good. So, thanks, Rob, if you're watching. All right, but I'm just going to heat up the Brussels sprouts. And it kind of gives them sort of a roasted, toasted flavor. You get, like, nice color on them. And that's that. That was fast. And now I'm going to take some stuffing. All right, I'm going to take some. I made a box of whole wheat turkey stuffing from Aldi, and it actually is really good. I actually made 2 boxes upon my husband's request. And I've added a little bit of water, like we do with most leftovers. But for this, I'm also going to add a couple of tablespoons of butter. And this also not only enhances the flavor, but it also enhances the crispiness. So we're going to get a little bit of crispy coating on the stuffing. All right. So I'm going to make what's going to look like a giant stuffing omelet. And flatten it out and let it toast away. Okay. And then I think that this is the last thing we're going to prepare. So normally I can't eat the white potatoes. So the plan was for me to make a stuffing potato pancake sort of situation for me to serve my turkey on. But things changed when we got to the table a little bit, so didn't work out that way. The potatoes were delicious, by the way. All right. So now I just take the rubber spatula and I'm going to turn over as it starts to get crispy. I'm going to turn over sections at a time. And again, this is sped up for you guys. But I think all in all, this was probably a half an hour it took for making the potato pancakes all the way to the time we ate. Okay? And this is the last part of the dish. We're going to go ahead and serve the cranberry sauce with this, and that's optional. I've always wanted to make Monica's leftovers sandwich. You know, she takes a slice of bread, some turkey, she soaks a slice of bread in gravy, that's the flavor master, some stuffing and cranberry sauce, and makes a sandwich. But that's it. So this is what we're going to serve it, like this. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to know what you guys are doing with your leftovers, if anything. And if you would, please give this video a thumbs up. It would truly help. Share with friends and family. Anybody you know who has trouble figuring out what they're going to do different with their leftovers. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. And when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And I really do hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving and has a happy and healthy holiday season coming forth. And also, if you have any video requests, we'll do what we can do, but just shoot me an email at mrsgarthb2@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Jeri-Ann Henson or Mrs. Garth B2. And as always, you take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Happy after Turkey Day.